All right. So my next question will be about materials that we can use to practice English. I mean, there are all sorts of materials, from videos to books to podcasts and so on. So I think it's a great question, and I think it's just too broad for us to cover in just 10 minutes discussion. But I think we can at least think about some types of materials that are more helpful than others, especially if we focus on communication skills and improving communication skills. So which learning materials are more likely to be useful in this process of acquiring communication skills?
Well, I mean, really the key word is this, right? Interactivity.
Yeah.
That's really the key word. And then another key word is immersion. But you can, they're kind of orthogonal to each other, I guess. But you can possibly get one without getting the other, or you can get both. So I think it's more important to think at this level, the dimension by which that something will be helpful to you. So if you want to practice English, the more interactive the thing is, the better it is for you to learn. So nothing beats a live person, right? A native speaker specifically. Native or near native, right? And then nothing beats living in English-speaking countries. Even though just by living in English-speaking countries doesn't necessarily guarantee you that you will learn, but it definitely creates that environment which you have a lot of need to speak English. So in many ways, it's like, that's the golden bar to shoot for. Then anything else is really a step down from that. So we had to, so say for example, what we talk about from, participating in projects that get you as close to this as possible for learning purposes, right? Because you participate on projects, they gotta be talking about things in English, so therefore you're going to have to try to understand what that what people are saying in order to understand it. So nothing beats that as well. Then wasn't the next level beyond that? I don't know. I mean, non-projects, or potentially there's multiple different level of projects, but non-project interactions.
Often, or I would say often, it's a learning experience. Like you're learning something together with other people. That could be like, it's not necessarily a project, but it's something that it's like a project. It's basically, it has an outcome, it has certain context.
So there's just multiple level down in terms of interactivity level. The more interact with somebody, then the better it is. So a lot of people, when they think about learning materials, they think about things that are truly non-interactive, right? So, we say CD-ROMs, like things with like multimedia learning lessons on them. And most people consider this interactive, but it's really a substitution because there's not a live person behind it. It's just static material for you to work with. So, when it's just static material for you to work with, then obviously the more they ask you to do lessons, the better it would be. So this would be better, and then further on down the road, you have somewhere down in there, there'll be books with lessons in them. But if it's just books, audio tape is going to be better than that. Right? And then videotape is going to be better than just audio tape because you now have something to look at. So the more senses that engages you, the better off that you can learn. This is kind of how I think of the different grades of the material that you can learn in. Now, book is good for something that's better than other things. So, for example, grammar
or reference. Like list of phrases, perhaps.
Right, and then even just vocabs, right? So there is definitely something that the books excel at that you're not going to get anywhere else. So it's not to say that book is not enough for you, but I mean, it's not book is useless. Book has uses. It's just that in terms of saying how do you practice English, then the more interactivity you're getting, the more likely you have better practices. It's very difficult to practice just against a book. That's part of the reason why that a lot of people in non-English speaking countries have difficulties to really know how native speakers speak English, because all they do is just read books. And the books is not going to tell you how native speakers speak at all. You have to have at least consume some medias, listen to English songs, watch, English movies. I mean, there are so many English movies out there that should not be difficult to do, basically.
Yeah.
So,
and songs are actually fantastic as learning material. I mean, I would say from my experience, and also I heard a lot of similar experiences from my friends. So once you start, I mean, first of all, you need to choose the music. You cannot follow the music you don't like. You never follow your friend's advice, because your friends like a different type of music. You choose your own music, of course. But once you made your choice, you can actually start singing those songs, and I think that's exactly where it helps you, because you feel like, okay, not only you are memorizing new phrases, but also you're kind of using them. Like next time you hear the same song, it will automatically, the meaning will come to you straight. I mean, you won't need to recall it, or you won't need any dictionary. You just you remember the moment. You remember the moment where you learned it, and that moment gets reinforced several times. I can even go as far as just talking about my own experience. Whenever I hear a phrase, someone said something in English on TV, and I don't pay attention to it, but suddenly I hear a random phrase. I actually think about a song where I learned that phrase. I mean, it doesn't happen every single time, but it's a very real experience. Like I suddenly remember the song, even though I haven't heard that song for many years, but somewhere really deep inside my my memory. So
that's a good way to think
really
about it,
works.
definitely. And there's the one interesting thing about songs, is that in songs, most people's accents disappear.
Yeah.
So it's a good way. It's like it's very difficult to hear a song where you can hear the accents, basically. So it's a good way to learn about, to learn a language. So does that kind of roughly cover what you're thinking about? Or is there any additional thoughts that we want to talk about here?
I was also thinking about videos. I think that one benefit of using videos, I mean, obviously, first of all, I agree with you on the earlier point that there is no substitute for real-life conversations, because that's exactly what we are supposed to do, and that's how we are acquiring the language. But I think in addition to real-life conversations, and especially if we have a lack of opportunities to have real-life conversations, maybe watching videos would be the closest substitute, even though not a perfect one. But I think when you watch videos, or movies, or even music, or even music clips, or something real, something that is based on real situation, not just an English lesson. I would say that this is not really the type of video I would like.
That is very true. Within videos, there are still many different types of videos, right?
Yeah.
So, for example, watching this video allows somebody to learn English just by watching this video, right? Watching context-specific video. So if somebody are engaged in a project, and there's videos produced for that project. For example, that's what we did with our project. And watching those videos will really help, right? And, then after that, it's to watch videos that are produced for native consumption. So, for example, American videos a lot of time are produced for American audiences. So watching that, it's going to give you the context of the American culture. And, vice versa. Like, for example, I also spend time, when I spend my spare time to learn Japanese, I spend at this level, which is to watch videos and use that for repetitive practices. So it's also very important to actually practice. Okay, because when you're watching a video, a lot of time it's easy to fall into the habit of just watching the video instead of trying to practice with the video. A lot of people will watch from beginning to the end, and they spend exact amount of time of that video, and then that's all they spend. So if the video is 20 minutes, they spend 20 minutes watching it. But in that 20 minutes, you're watching. You're not practicing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how do you practice with the video? Someone says one sentence in there, you listen to it, you pause after that one sentence. Then you say the same sentence yourself. Then you go back to that sentence and you try to do it again. Try to watch and then try to practice. So, you know, you try to then look up the words. Maybe that's in that sentence, there's 3 words that you didn't understand. You try to then, you know, research, trying to look up those words. Maybe you try to just spell it, because sometimes there are subtitles, but sometimes there are no subtitles. So if there are subtitles, you can spell with the subtitle. If not, then you have to train your listening skills to try to spell those words out. Then look it up. And then based on that, then you can learn what those words means. Then you can improve, right? So it's very important to practice with a video, not just watching.
Yeah, so more
listening.
interactive practice. And this is where I think the importance of context comes in, because once you have a context that you really would feel like following or feel like watching that video, I think this is the critical component. This is something that if the friend recommends you to watch that video, of course you can start watching it, but if you feel that it's not your stuff, then just basically move on to something else, because it's very likely to be mostly a waste of your time, learning time, because you will just force yourself to follow something that you have no idea about. Like, let's say someone recommends me a good YouTube channel about physics, right? And I have absolutely no interest or idea about physics, and even if I have to watch it, I feel that I have to watch it. I will never be able to motivate myself to watch it, and that's a big problem, I think.
Yeah, but this is also another reason why that we're talking about interactivity, right? As you go up on this level, you engage more senses. But because at this level is static, so you had to be disciplined of trying to create that interactivity yourself. So that way you can practice with it rather than just watching or listening. So, I mean, watching and listening will be beneficial already. They beat doing nothing. Right?
Yeah.
But if you want to continue to push the envelope, then you have to really try to create a system where that you're practicing rather than just participating.
Yeah. Just watching, not just.
Exactly.
Yeah. Excellent.